with us. Well, they called her. Thank you very much for staying with us. Well, they called her the flower girl for a while in Parliament, a name she earned because of her good looks, easy demeanor and graceful nature. But aside from beauty, Joyce Lay exudes strength and agility. Tonight on our premiere show on women in leadership, I'm joined by the lady herself. This is Joyce Lay. Good evening. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you, Lillian. Good evening too.
Great to have you in studio. But before we get into our conversation, let's listen into a clip from Parliament when Joyce opened up about her painful journey to motherhood.
Me being as a biological mother of my child, Madam Speaker, I was forced to go through adoption. Adoption that has taken almost 4 years, Madam Speaker. It's such a painful issue, Madam Speaker. And like I say, it's a process that has been going on. But other women, what they do, they have to go through the back doors to make sure that the certificate or the notification of birth comes out with their names, Madam Speaker.
Right. Take us back to that day in Parliament, that raw emotion. Where was that coming from? Was this coming from a personal experience, and what was that?
Thank you, Lillian. That's a pain of a woman who stayed for almost years, knowing that you're okay because you're not born barren, and then all of a sudden, because of some issues that happen, complications here and there, you get those devastating news that from now henceforth you cannot conceive naturally. So I went through hysterectomy and lost my uterus, and I had to have my baby through a surrogate mother. So I went through the IVF process, and during that time in Parliament we were debating the IVF bill. The IVF bill was sponsored by Honorable Muli Odhiambo, but I mean the media has been finding it easy to talk about it with me because of the experience that I've gone through. So I've shared my experience with different media. I've shared my experience also on radio and on newspaper, and this time, you know, every time we talk about it, it's like it's a fresh, you know, process. It's something that has just started. Even if it takes years, it's still, you know, a painful process. It takes you back to where you are.
You talked about surrogacy. For our viewers who might not exactly understand what that entails, take us there and exactly what it is that you had to do. Who did you use as a surrogate mother, and just where you did this in this country? This is actually available. This can be done here?
Yes, Lillian, this can be done here. I did it in Kenya, and IVF, first of all, is in vitro fertilization, where you cannot conceive naturally. Then you use a scientific assisted process for you either to carry your own baby, but in the case where you don't have a uterus, or maybe you have an issue with your womb, then the embryo is transferred to another woman. So that woman is a surrogate mother, because there's no any blood relationship with your baby. The woman is basically carrying your baby to mature to 9 months, and after the baby is delivered, the baby is handed over to you.
Who did you choose as your surrogate?
At first I had sorry, I had so many choices. I had choices from my siblings, my sisters, my friends, but then it did not work out, to a point where this particular surrogate mother surprised me. I mean, I did not even expect that she would even do it for me. And just one day when we were discussing these issues, and she was keen listening and she was interested, she wanted to know, so how is it done? And then when I explained to her, actually we were having lunch in her house with her husband, and then she was like, I can do it for you. It was, you know, just like that, I can do it for you. And even her husband was shocked, and, you know, he asked her several times, are you sure you want to do it? And she said, yes, I want to do it.
So this is basically another woman's body carrying
exactly
you and your husband's child.
Yes. So it happened, and it was successful, because IVF process is like a 50-50 thing. It can either be successful the first try or it can't. So you have to try several times. And the first time you try and it's not successful, some of them you just get depressed, you get disappointed, because it's a very expensive affair.
Expensive? We're
yes.
talking about how much?
Here in Kenya it's between 350,000 up to 400 or 450,000. And depending, if you're doing it on your own body, it can be a bit fair, but now this is a process that involves two different women, so we had to undergo through two different treatment processes, so it was a bit expensive. And then a good thing with my friend, she said, I don't want to be paid, I just want to help you. I want you to have a baby because I've seen the pain that you've gone, I've seen the tears that you cry when you come to church, and I want to help you.
So she gave back to a beautiful baby.
Oh yes, she did, a beautiful baby boy. And because we didn't have any issues, it was a mutual understanding, and there was a lot of counseling that she went through before the baby was born. So she handed over the baby to me immediately the baby was born. But then according to the laws that we have currently in Kenya, the woman who gives birth is the mother of the baby. So I could not be allowed, or we could not be allowed to have our baby legally as our baby. So the notification of birth had to come out with the surrogate mother's names. And we tried all offices in the hospital, and they said, no, our hands are tied, we can't do it. So the only thing that you guys have to do, you have to go through adoption. So you can imagine, you go through a hard process of having a baby, and then you have to go through a traumatizing process of adopting your own child.
And how long did it take before your child was now legally yours?
It took a long time, because according to the judges that were handling the case, it was a new case to them. Like if you picked up from my clip, I said it's a process that has been going on, but then the issue is most of the parents or most of the couple, they ought to either get birth certificates or notification of birth through BACTO. But then by that time, I had already declared to be a leader. And then people had never seen me pregnant. Of course, there will be questions, and I was like, you know what? I have to tell my story. I don't want to wait for somebody else to come and tell my story. And since I'm going to be a leader, I have to take this painful and long journey. And once I become a leader, I have to make sure that I change this. I change the law so that any other woman who would go through the same process that I have gone through would not face the same problem.
Let's talk about leadership, Joyce. And I was reading you up, and you said somewhere that when you were running for this particular seat, there was opponents that would use this situation against you and say, how can you vote for a woman who cannot give birth, who cannot carry her own baby, who doesn't know the pain of giving birth? Let's talk about infertility and just how society has basically made this a woman's problem, almost as if it's a curse, coming from your experience.
That's very true. In our African society, infertility is related to a curse, to a taboo. Every person looks down on every woman who doesn't have a child naturally. And then the issue that we always forget, it is a shared responsibility. It's not just a woman, but you see the mentality that we have. Once you get married, a year or two you don't have a child, people start looking at you, people start pointing fingers at you as a woman. So you find that every time, every blame, every tears, every embarrassment, it's a woman who carries it. Most of maybe the men, they'll be like, it's your issue. You are the woman. How comes I'm not having a child? Instead of accepting that it's a shared responsibility. So maybe we should go, let's both of us get checked, so that we can find out where the problem is, and then let us solve it together. So yes, as a woman in the society, if you don't have a child, I mean, it can be used even in platforms like politics, for example. Yes, I went through that, and it was quite a painful journey, but because I knew myself, because I understood myself, I knew my body better than anybody else, I felt some pain, and sometimes maybe I'd go back home and cry, but then I was like, okay, God, I think you took me through this for a purpose, for a reason.
And I know, again, looking you up, that like you said, you were not born barren, that you were a young mother at the age of 19, but you lost your son then. So for women out there who perhaps find themselves in a situation similar to yours, perhaps even have miscarried, others who perhaps have had a hysterectomy and are now looking at a, well, quote-unquote bleak future, because there are options, what would be your word of encouragement for them having gone through this experience?
My word of encouragement to them: you are still a woman. It doesn't matter whether you have a child or you don't have. You're born a woman, you are a woman. And that's the campaign that we've been doing with Merck Health, Merck Pharmaceutical, the biggest pharmaceutical company in the world. They picked me as an ambassador, and we've been educating and also encouraging women and couples to come out and talk and share about their experience, so that they don't shy away. Because most of the times it's something that's spoken in hushed tones, it's spoken behind the doors where nobody can hear. Because according to us, it is you know, as an embarrassing thing, very shameful. So we've been encouraging women and men also to come out and talk about their issues, and also to encourage women that whatever it is that you're going through, it doesn't matter. We have solutions. We have you know, every time technology is evolving and becoming even better. So we have solutions out there. You can decide you want to adopt. You can decide you want to go through scientific you know, help, so that you can have your own child, carry your own child, so that you can feel like everybody else out there.
I want to talk about, just before we move away from leadership, in a male-dominated parliament, you've been known to speak out against male bullying. You haven't shied away from coming out and saying, look, I'm a woman, but that doesn't mean that I cannot stand up for myself. What's your experience in parliament, in a male-dominated parliament? Do you women get bullied out there? Is your voice heard?
We've come a long way. I want to thank the women who went before us. Mheshimiwa Phoebe Asio, Mheshimiwa Martha Karua. You know, their days, it was even worse than what we're seeing right now. And yes, when I came to parliament, I think several times, even right now, it's difficult for people to say or to call me Mheshimiwa even in parliament. Like, they'll say hi to everybody, habari Mheshimiwa, habari Mheshimiwa. When it comes to my time, like, habari yako mrembo. So I'm like, okay, I'm also Mheshimiwa like everybody else. I mean, you can't just judge people, or you can't just look at us and say, just because you're a woman, you don't deserve to be a leader. No. Our voices have, you know, they've been on the forefront. We've been talking about issues. We have women in parliament that have articulated issues very well. We have people that I look up to, people like Honorable Millie Odhiambo. I mean, she's sponsored so many bills, I mean, private sponsored, and we also get encouraged when we see people like Martha Karua, Mheshimiwa Charity Ngilu, you know, they don't fear. So once you decide that you want to become a leader as a woman, you have to shed off everything from fear and embarrassment. And every time we keep on saying that, you have to develop a thick skin. Yes, you have to. Developing
a thick skin. And I know that in social circles, social media can be cruel, and they've not shied away from putting you in a bit of controversy here and there. I want to ask you, how are you holding up after your divorce?
I want to say it was really a trying moment, but it's something that I wanted. I cannot discuss further on the divorce issue, but it's something that I wanted. And let me say that God has given me strength to move forward. And I want to tell every woman out there, the reason why the light and, you know, shines on you all the time is because you're so precious. You are a woman. When God created a man, he saw that this is not enough. I have to create a woman. And when the woman was created, God said, she's your helper. Who is a helper? A helper is somebody who comes to perfect things. A helper is somebody who comes to lift everybody up. So that means, as a woman, you're up there. You're being looked at. You are a mirror of the world. So it doesn't matter if they talk about you, it doesn't matter, it's on social media, wherever, yes, it's because you are a woman. You're different from a man.
And she is a beautiful woman, the lovely Joyce Lay, women representative, Taita Taveta, representing, of course, the women of Taita Taveta out there in Bunge, and we wish you all the very best. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and all the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you, Lillian.
We're taking a short break now. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.